Right. So it could be in 10 years. Now in 10 years we've got to reach there. We can't. We don't have documents in our work for 10 years. That's the impact. But we're going to work towards that. Now sometimes if you come like from a place like me, they make a 25-year plan or a 30-year plan. Right, and that is where we are going to say the impact will only be seen in 30 years. But we are working because we know it's a long project and it's going to take a long time to get there. هنا؟
معلش سوري بس في النسخة المطبوعة معكم كلمة الأثر مش طالعة بالطباعة، هي نفسها اللونج تيرم امباكت أو النتائج بعيدة المدى هي نفسها الأثر هون، بس ضيفوا لها هاي الكلمة. شكرا.
Okay, so thank you. Let's change the slide. So now we're going to this next slide where we are talking about, or I'm saying to you here, or what we are saying here is you don't manage for the outcomes. You don't budget for the outcomes. Right. You budget for the outputs. Why? Tell me why are we saying that you budget for the outputs and not the outcomes? What's going to give you the output? Your actions? Now, it's the things, your inputs that you have, your money, your people, your policies, your infrastructure, your IT equipment, isn't that so? That you use to perform your activities, right? So you spend money here, you've got a budget for that, isn't that so? You've got to spend money for your activities, maybe you've got to drive somewhere, maybe you have to have a workshop, maybe you're going to have whatever, you think about it, right? So you are budgeting for that. You change, your activities change into outputs. Isn't that so? So we say, for my example yesterday, the sandwich, right? What would it have cost for me to get that sandwich? How much was the bread? How much was the filling? How much was the dressing? How much did it cost for somebody to make that? Right? So you pay, you budget for the outcomes. You cannot budget for the outputs. You cannot budget for the outcomes. Why? How am I going to, what is an outcome? What is an outcome? We spoke about it yesterday. Yes?
بروسيس لعباره لداتا معينه عشان اوصل انا لمخرج معين بحالة زمني في الشغل يعطيني نتيجه سريعه، فالاوتبوت عاده او الاوتكم بتكون مرتبطات في بعض، بس اللي بحددها دائما ايش المدخل اللي انا اعطيته، لايش تارجت اللي انا بدي اوصله، فهي شوي
The outcome is the result that you achieve from the outputs, right? So we go back again. If you had to say the output was the workshop, the output is this workshop, isn't that so? The outcome that we got out of the workshop is that you have increased knowledge in ROB and log-frame. How are we going to budget for that? Can I put money to that? No, I can't.
You cannot measure it.
I cannot measure it in money value. All right, but I can measure what I put in, like what I spent here to get here. all right, and to deliver the workshop. But the amount of knowledge that you may have got, I cannot measure it in money terms, and it will also be different among everyone that's sitting here. The knowledge, the amount that you would absorb will not be exactly the same for everybody. The benefit, isn't that so? It's a benefit. Now, we are talking then, we're going to the immediate outcome, the intermediate outcomes is what? Is how you will apply. The intermediate outcome will be the application of the skills you have and the knowledge that you take from here. Right. The intermediate outcome is that you will, whatever you learn here, you will go back and you will apply it in your organization to develop your plans, to do your planning and to do your budgeting. Right, you agree? And the impact of that will be good budget documents. Right? It will be more effective planning. It will be more efficient budgeting. Mona?
I'll go back to بدي احكي عن السندويشات مرة ثانية. يعني احنا بامكاننا نحسب كلفة السندويشة اللي انا اشتغلت عليها. طلعت معي سندويشة واعطيتها للطفل. بحسب الغاز والفلافل وكل شيء، لكن طفل شبعان وساكت وهادي كيف بدي احسبها بالمصاري؟ فعشان هيك انه صعب احسب بالموازنة انه ايش مدى الرضا عند الطفل، وحتى بعدين انه والله صحته كويسة وراح المدرسة وبدرس مليح، هاي صعبة. الاشي اللي عندي سيطر عليه وبحسبه وبصرف عليه المصاري. جبت كل هاي الاشياء عشان اعمل سندويشة، معناته كلفة السندويشة اللي هي المخرج عندي هي اللي بقدر اسيطر عليها. بس طبعا لازم احط في بالي من البداية ايش رح تأدي يعني للآخر.
Right, thank you, Mona. Right, so now we're going to look at this and we say, what do we do for a project? We use the inputs, the activities and the outputs, and that is part of our planning, our budgeting, our implementation and monitoring. Right, those are the activities that we are busy with on a day-to-day basis. But in doing that, in planning, budgeting, implementing and monitoring, we work towards achieving the outcomes. Isn't that so? We manage our activities, we manage in achieving these top parts. The immediate outcome, the intermediate outcome, and the impact. Right, so we plan for what we want to get out. So it is important that we are responsible for proper planning, proper budgeting, proper implementation, and proper monitoring. Because if we don't do it well, we will not achieve the outcomes that we want. Right, we're not going to give the benefits to society. We're not going to bring about the changes we want. So that is why we have to be very, very thorough in what we do. Everyone's still understanding?
لا أنا باعتقادي إن الأمور واضحة، بس في جزئية تتعلق بهاي المواضيع، إنه تحديدي أو اختياري للKPIs اللي هن مؤشرات الأداء، أظن إنها علاقة كبيرة بموضوع التقييم والقياس. يعني إذا كان المؤشر مو سليم معناته أنا بالنهاية راح تطلع كل قصتي مش سليمة، يعني كل تقييمي مش سليم. وهذا الموضوع أنا لمسته، لأنه يعني تحديد مؤشر الأداء مهم جدا بموضوع الإشي اللي بدك توصل له.
Excellent. Mabruk.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right? Because that is where we're going to tomorrow. tomorrow to the KPIs. Tomorrow we're going to spend our time on the KPIs because that is the most important thing that we need to be able to monitor our progress towards our outcomes, right? And achieving the impact that we want. Right. Now we're going to move to the next slide. And this one here is, I don't know if you've ever come across this, but we normally talk about a line of sight. Right. What we mean by a line of sight means, and I'm going to explain it to you very simply, is that we talk about when we are doing something, or we are planning a project, or we are planning a program, we can see the line in which it will follow to reach the outcome that we want to achieve. Sometimes, and this is a reality, you'd find in an organization there are some programs that just don't fit in. Have you ever seen that? And then you understand, but why are you doing it? Or sometimes there's a project that does fit in, but it's placed in the wrong component of the organization. And then you think and say, but why are you doing this? This work belongs to me. You've ever seen that? I can see some heads shaking for that. Now that is where there is a problem, because there isn't a line of sight of where the thing is leading to, whether it's in the correct place or whether it's the right thing that you are doing. So when you're doing something, you must be able to clearly in your mind follow that line of sight. Right. If you're out of my sight, then you're not in the right place. If you are within my sight, you are in the right place. So we have to understand towards which outcome are we contributing. And if you know what you are contributing towards, it is important. Now, I just want to say something here that is also a little bit not on this, but it's a thing in work, and I'm giving it to you from my own experience. So when we put the plans out normally, this used to be quite a challenge, because I used to manage quite a big group of people. You know, as a head, you have a lot of people. So when we have to prepare our reports, I can't, in that report, talk about what every person did. Right, I can't say that Mutaz did this, that Rashad did this, and because it's not about our personal things. Everybody is contributing towards it. And the thing is, sometimes in this whole thing, we get lost. Right, so when somebody is reading the report, they'll say, but I can't see what I did here. Let me say, we cannot report on small activities. When we report, even in terms of our KPIs, which we'll get to tomorrow, sometimes there's many activities that are not important. So even there too, we have to maintain a line of sight. Okay, so when we talk about the line of sight, we're going to, I was trying to make an example, I had an example for health, but I needed to change it for you. So it may not be the perfect example, but let's try and give it to you. So if we start off with the line of sight, and we are talking about, and you can take it as notes for yourself, and then you can tell me if it's working out correctly. So if you're talking about the line of sight, I'm talking about the inputs. It's the money, and I said to you, we'll still need a budget, we still need money, even though we have equipment and a building. Maybe we have laws, right? Then we would talk to, I want to prepare a training program. So this is it. there's a problem that I want to create an awareness about environmental compliance. That falls under your work, isn't that so? Environmental compliance for sustainable practices in Aqaba, in the economic zone. Now I want to prepare a training program. Right, that is what my goal is. My goal, which we start here, is effective environmental compliance. I don't know, Mona, if you want to write for me on the board, please. And sustainable practices in the Aqaba Specialized Economic Zone.
Can you say it again?
The goal is effective environmental compliance and sustainable practices in Aqaba Specialized Economic Zone. So that's my goal. But one of my projects is to create something in terms of a training, a workshop, to educate people about this. Right. So there may be lots of other projects under the CD. So what I'm going to do is, in order to get to that goal, I'm going to start to say, what is my inputs? What do I need? And I gave you the inputs just now. I said we're going to look at the money, the laws, the data, the research information, the instructors. Now I'm going to prepare, because it's an awareness campaign, I'm going to prepare stuff, isn't that so? So I may need designers, I may need people to develop a curriculum for me, because I want to do some training. So what would my activities be? I just said to you, it's going to be training,
Program.
it's going to be